Well, hello YouTube, it's me Fortmaster, and welcome back to a new JaruJaruJ reaction. I say new, at the time of recording this video is almost 2 weeks old, but it's the newest Jaru video, and I initially put it off to the side, to do a reaction to it, because this is the first, new Jaru video I would do a reaction to, but I forgot. So, we're here now. But yeah, anyway, this is the dark clock theory. Yeah, I got literally nothing on that one. I think I saw somebody post on Twitter about that, something involving like the clocks you see in various rooms in Deltarune and how their time changes, but I didn't look at it, and it's also been a while since I saw it, so I don't really remember that much. So yeah, I'm going into this completely blind. So yeah, I guess with all that out of the way, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day, and yeah, with all that out of the way, let's get this thing started then, shall we?
Hello, my name is Jaru, and today I'm talking about Deltarune. There will be major spoilers
Big surprise.
for both Deltarune and Undertale, so please play them both before watching this.
Already
Today,
done.
I'm going to be giving a quick theory about how the Light World's clocks may hold a secret connected with the Dark Worlds. If this style of shorter theory videos interests you, consider supporting me on Ko-fi or Patreon. Without further ado, enjoy today's theory. The first thing to point out about these clocks is that they are all broken. This is implied by them all having mostly different times, and by several of them having times that make no sense given that they are shown after school has let out. Them being broken is further implied once you start paying attention to the timeline of events in Chapter 1 and 2. We see Alfie's clock before and after school in both chapters, and it is always reading 2 o'clock. Toriel's clock reads 10 o'clock both before and after we go to the cyberworld. The unused classroom clock always reads 6:30, and we visit that room at several different times. The hardest to prove is the diner clock, but it's incredibly unlikely to be functioning either. It reads 2 o'clock at the end of Chapter 1 and at the end of Chapter 2, despite the timeline of events being radically different. For a refresher, in Chapter 1, Chris and Susie get out of the Card Kingdom after school has ended, but before the sun has set. This means they likely spent over 8 hours in the Card Kingdom, and they arrived in the Light World anytime between 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. In Chapter 2, however, the school day is over before we even enter the cyberworld. If it took over 8 hours to traverse the Card Kingdom, and Chris doesn't even enter the much larger cyberworld until after 4:30, then the idea of them arriving at the diner in Chapter 2 at the exact same time they arrived in Chapter 1 is just extremely unlikely.
Now, you can go two very different directions here. One, you could say that they are actually broken and that there is actually something here because, with Toby's track record, I would not be surprised if that's like some really small Easter egg that you would completely fly by if you weren't paying attention because, given that the game's been out for several years now and this is the first time I've ever heard of a broken clock theory, that would be kind of true. Alternatively, it could... Wait, actually... I was going to say that it could be, you just didn't, that Toby, just as like a save, just to save time, they didn't make a completely separate, picture for all the rooms. But at the same time, you have a different one with, different lighting and stuff. So you could have made them... Wait a second, actually, wait, I just realized, Jaru said that they're broken. Is that, is that one of those things that literally, if you do the prompt on the clock, it says it's broken? Never mind, I just looked up and there's really nothing talking about the clocks besides other people saying that all the clocks show different times.
This brings us to the big question. Why are all the clocks broken in Deltarune's hometown? The answer is... I have no idea.
The reason is the town is actually located inside a pocket dimension that does not actually have time. So while everybody's technically living, all biological processes are stopped, so they're not aging, and thus, and with time not actually going forward, clocks are stopped. I know that's not true in the slightest, but wouldn't that be just completely out of left field if that act turned out to be true? Like Azrael coming back, it's like he comes back and he's actually the Doctor from Doctor Who.
Frankly, this is the sort of minor detail that Toby Fox could easily gloss over. Maybe
as I literally said.
Because nobody cares enough to fix them. Maybe dark fountains cause nearby clocks to malfunction. Maybe the universe is trapped in a time loop, and that causes clocks to break down. Or maybe Toby just liked the aesthetic of analog clocks, but didn't want to precisely define the timeline so as to keep things mysterious.
I mean, that's kind of similar to what I said, but, that could very well be it.
Who knows? The truth is, I am not interested in the actual canon reason for these clocks being broken. It's far more important to me to figure out the meta reason behind this design choice. What is the significance of having these specific times on these clocks? What lore can we deduce? What is Toby Fox trying to communicate to us? My answer to those questions is what I will discuss now. My theory is that the clocks in Deltarune are subtle hints as to the location of future dark worlds. This theory first occurred to me when analyzing the school's clocks. When you look at this layout, you can see the clock in Toriel's class is pointing north and northwest, which just so happens to point at the unused classroom and the closet, the locations of the first two dark worlds. Furthermore, the clock in the unused classroom is pointing straight down, as if it's signaling that this room was the location of a dark fountain. Now, before anyone points it out, this layout of the rooms is only accurate from a meta standpoint. Technically, these rooms are rotated 180 degrees.
Right, yeah, of course.
Layout, but that's only important in universe, and even then, the layout of the school doesn't really make much sense to begin with.
Yeah, I mean, you have the school, and it seems to have, like, 4 rooms, or 4 classrooms total. Maybe 3 if you classify that room as, like, a storage room. And then there's the room that the castle town is in. Yeah, this school doesn't make any sense.
For example, where are these lights coming from if the windows are pointing towards this hallway? Why are there 2 windows in these external shots, yet 3 spots of light inside the building? And don't even get me started on places like the flower shop. Its internal design and external design are completely incompatible. If the physical reality of the hometown doesn't matter to Toby Fox, then it also doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Toby is a cruel god, and the worlds he makes are inconceivable to all those outside them.
That just leaves the meta angle, and that's what I'm focusing on in my theory. The last bit of evidence supporting my hypothesis is the diner clock, which also sits at 2 o'clock. That means it points north with one hand, which just so happens to point directly at the Dreamer household, the location of Chapter 3's Dark World. So, given that all of these clocks are confirmed to be pointing at previous and or future Dark Worlds, what more can we learn from them? Well, Alfie's clock points northeast and north. The northeast part probably just refers to the castle town, but the north hand likely refers to this final classroom. And I would argue that this class is specifically for art. Spampton references easels in the same line that he mentioned CRTs, which was itself a hint towards Chapter 3's Dark World. We also haven't seen an arts and crafts room in the school despite all the drawings everywhere. As such, I would argue that this class will be the location of an art-based dark world. That just leaves one clock hand unaccounted for, the northeast pointing hand in the diner. However, this one's a bit tricky. When you look at this map, you can tell that the clock could be pointing at any of these upper buildings.
So we have, like, Caddy's house. Right, you got this. I believe. I mean, this is most likely, like, not Spampton, like the ghost that would become Metaton's house. So, I mean, judging by that, it's like 2 o'clock rather than like 1 o'clock. I'd say maybe I'll just call him Metaton. Maybe Metaton's house. or maybe like Asgore's shop? Because I don't know why you'd have the Dark Worlds here. Though then again, wait a second, there's going to be 7 chapters, so, you know, they got a lot of room to fill out. So maybe eventually have, like, a Dark World here. You can have a Dark World in one of their houses. And then, because I know in Deltarune, these two aren't friends. So that could be the thing that makes them, you know, friends in this universe as well.
It does seem more likely to be pointing at Bratty or Napstablook's house, but wait, there's an issue. As you can see, the tops of these buildings don't match the bottoms we see on the lower screen. That means between these two screens is a section of the hometown that Chris skips over. This is an issue because by adding even just one street between these two layers, that drastically alters where this clock hand may be pointing. It greatly decreases the likelihood that it's pointing at the house on the left, and even opens the door to it pointing at Asgore's shop, which does have a double door inside. Double doors, while not required for Dark Worlds, have been associated with 2 so far. But wait, there's more. It's entirely possible that when the full game is released, Toby will expand upon the hometown and allow us to explore more areas. That potentially includes these streets that get skipped over during this loading screen. As such, while the clock hand could be pointing at the houses on this street, it could also easily be pointing at a building on the streets that we haven't even seen yet.
Wait a second. I have an idea. What if a potential future one is at Susie's house? Because I know that from everything we've seen, it doesn't seem Susie has the best home life. Like, I don't think she's homeless, because I remember hearing a couple people suggest, like, a while ago that she might be homeless or something. I very much suspect she, you know, does have a home. It's just, you know, not the best home. That's part of the reason why she was, you know, so excited to stay over at Chris's house. So what could that do? Because again, we literally know nothing about her home life. Like, does she live with her parents still? Have they separated? Is she only living with like her mom or her dad? Like, what could all that mean? What could be going on there? And just imagine, oh god, if we're dealing with like an abusive parent situation, can you imagine like the final boss of the chapter not being, you know, like a Darkner that, you know, who are basically just the personifications of real world objects, but like actually being like Susie's abusive parent? Jeez, okay. That's definitely something.
In summary, my theory is that the clocks in the light world are hints about the placements of dark fountains, with Alfie's clock pointing us towards the final classroom and the diner clock pointing us towards Asgore's shop. And with that, we have reached the end of the video. This one was short, but I figured it would be nice to make a few quicker theories to flesh out my upload schedule. If you enjoyed this short form theory crafting, please let me know. I'd be delighted to make more theories like this. And if you really enjoyed, consider supporting me on Patreon. Speaking of which, a huge thanks goes out to all the wonderful folks who have joined my Patreon.
That's a little, again, that's very interesting. Again, because, I mean, if it's true, I could very much, again, as I said before, I could very much see Toby doing something like that. Like having something so inconspicuous as having like the clock on the wall, having its hands point in the direction of the game world where the next like section of the adventure is. That is, I mean, granted, like the actual effort to do it would be, you know, absolutely minuscule, but having something that like small is just so extra. Again, that could be cool. Like, oh wait, are there any clocks in Asgore's? No, I don't think there would be, because if there were, Jaru would probably have talked about them. Next chapter.
Hey Chris, look what I got for the store.
Clock, and it has both hands pointing in complete opposite directions. Again, we're gonna have to see when that happens, because that's definitely, I'd be so happy to see something just so weird and inconspicuous be actually true. Oh, that'd be wonderful. So yeah, as always, original video is linked in the description if you haven't seen it yet for some reason. Corner video will lead to my Let's Play of the day. And yeah, I hope you guys liked. If you did, leave a like, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you guys next time.